Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to YouTube Space New York. Let's hear it for Jenn Decilveo and Sue Drew from Kobalt Music Publishing. Here you go.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. It is my honor to sit here with Jenn Decilveo this evening and get into the mind of a songwriter. So just to tell you a little bit about Jenn, she's a New Jersey native, born and raised. She's a Grammy nominee. She's a Brit Award nominee. She's a writer. She's a producer. She's an engineer. She's an executive producer. She can also mix if she wants to. But I think most importantly, she's a friend to the artist. And I think that's what I've discovered in listening to a lot of Jenn's music, that she can get into the mind of an artist and really pull out what it is they want to say. And I think that's a huge attribute in a songwriter and producer.
It's manipulation, really, but...
Hey, whatever it takes. So we're very proud to call her a Kobalt client. She's somebody we've known for quite a while, and it was really great to finally get her over to the light.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I really just wanted to start very, very basically with your history, a little bit about you growing up and how music was a factor, and also you took a different path to become a songwriter. So give us a little bit about your background.
Okay, I'm from New Jersey, so if anyone's from Jersey, give me a yes.
Shout out.
It's the cleanest and the best state. I grew up, like most kids grow up, in a house. Maybe not, I don't know. And I started playing piano when I was 13. The first 3 songs I learned, this might be a fun fact for you, Kissing You by Desiree from the Romeo and Juliet film, All by Myself, Celine Dion cover, and Janet Jackson again.
Amazing.
I didn't like any of the classical stuff. I couldn't read. Well, I could, but it just took so long. I was like, let me just play it by ear.
Did you take lessons ever?
Like a year, I think. And then I was like, why are we paying people I'm not listening to what they're telling me to do? We should stop. I'm also Jewish.
I think this is a theme, actually.
And yeah, and then I continued to play. My mom, who I see is here. She's always been really supportive. She would allow me to play the piano for like 3 hours after school every day.
Amazing.
I would come home from soccer practice because I played soccer also. And I would play the piano for hours and hours and hours, and that was like kind of like my 10,000 hours, which I think is what a lot of people do when they become experts at things. And then I went to school for finance.
And why?
I don't know. That's what I thought you do, get a degree. I played soccer too. I went to Lehigh, D1. I quit that too. But that was for a lot of other reasons. And I studied finance, always still loved music, but then I got a job on Wall Street after I graduated, because what do you do after you go to school for 4 years, you get a job. So I did post-deal valuation at Deloitte for 2.5 years. And I would like always, actually, this is actually really interesting. The way I found out about songwriters having the opportunity to actually to write songs as a profession was through YouTube.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we all listen to music, but I didn't know, and the way I found out was because Cara DioGuardi was singing a Kelly Clarkson song, and I was like, who's this bitch singing a Kelly Clarkson song? And I was like, she sounds really good too. And then I researched her, and I was like, oh, she's a songwriter. She's written so many different things. All right, fuck this finance shit, I'm out. I'm gonna pursue my dream as a songwriter. And long story short, I moved to LA, and I had a friend who was signed to Macy Gray at the time, and we wrote songs together for a summer. That was my first co-write, was with Macy Gray.
Amazing.
And at her house, I don't know if she'd considered it collaboration, because I just kind of was there hanging out and playing, and she was like, yeah, that's really good. Do that again.
You got it.
And that's my MacBook Pro, if anyone wanted to know. And I taught myself how to use Logic. And obviously with music today, as a producer, you are also engineering until you get to the point where you don't have to and you can hire people, which is awesome, which I like to do, especially when I'm producing bands, because it's too much to do, to write, to produce, to engineer, to make sure it's not clipping, whatever, the audio. And yeah, so that was basically the short of it.
So Macy was pretty much your entry into the songwriting world. I mean, as like a first break in a way.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was the first like famous artist I worked with. And then after that happened, I mean, none of those songs came out, so whatever. She obviously wasn't listening to them. She's an amazing lyricist. I don't know if anyone knows Macy. But after that happened, I just started writing around with everybody, anyone who would write with me. I was slutty, really slutty. And then I started producing.
Were you looking for a publishing deal at the time, or did you have one, or was there other support around you while you were doing this?
I mean, support? Like, what do you mean support? You mean emotional support, financial support?
Yeah, well, maybe all of the above.
Yes, my parents helped me.
Very nice.
I also saved a lot of money from working in finance. And if it weren't, if I hadn't done that job for 2.5 years and saved the money, and I was living at home commuting on New Jersey Transit on the PATH train to the World Financial Center, around the whole of the World Financial Center, I wouldn't have had the money to move to California.
Right.
And support myself for 2.5 years making no money, because as a songwriter, still today, when you go into a room, you make no money. Everything is on spec, every single day, unless you ask for money, but that's a slippery slope, because who really wants to make music for money? You're doing it because you love it. So
I think we find as publishers, it takes a good 3 years for somebody who's just starting to have a meaningful cut. So that's a long time without seeing any income from it, and a lot of people have second jobs or whatever.
I did have a second job too.
Yeah.
But we don't have to talk about that one.
Okay. We won't. I want to get into the songwriting first, and then we can get into the production. But I think there must be a psychology of songwriting. So when you're walking into a room for the first time and you haven't met your collaborator or collaborators, what is going through your head? What are you thinking? Are you trying to read the room? Are you just blank slate? Like, what happens in there?
I don't know. I mean, every situation's different, right? It's like every meeting that you take with a new writer. You might have heard their music. You may not want to be taking the meeting. I'm sure you want to take every meeting you have, though. And you don't really know what to expect. And I try to not have expectations. And normally it's just about, it sounds like hippy-dippy, but it's like you just have to read the energy, feel the vibes. If it's weird and somebody's making you feel uncomfortable, then maybe leave early. I don't know.
Yeah.
Get nauseous, something. And I think initially when I was just a songwriter, that sounds ridiculous. When I was not producing, and I was writing with different producers, a lot, you go into their space and it's their environment, it's their kind of castle. And sometimes everybody's different. Everybody makes people feel differently, but the most important thing is making the artist or the songwriter feel safe, I think.
Right.
And inspired, obviously, but if you can't even really inspire them unless you're some sort of like manipulative Jedi, like psychopath, telling them to make them feel like a piece of shit to inspire them. But I think making them feel safe and then inspiring them through conversation or a synthesizer or a drum beat or a poem or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's the goal, is to keep the vibes good.
I imagine, there's a lot of talking that happens initially, or getting to know you, or do you just...
Most of the time, yeah, but I recently was in London, and I wrote with this band called Sea Girls, which are all boys, on Polydor, and it was the first time in my career where I didn't speak. We didn't have a conversation. I was like, hey, dude. It was a guy, and he was like, hey. I was like, what's up? Oh, nothing. How's your day? It's good. Cool. Want to write a song? Sure. And then that's the one that Jamie works with Sue at Kobalt, and it's a smash, what people say, and it's a fucking smash. I don't know how many edits we're gonna have to do of my cursing. It's a big song, and it was the first time I never talked to. I didn't ask him who he was. I didn't ask him how he was feeling. I was jet lagged. I was tired. I just wanted to write the song, go back to my Airbnb, eat my hummus and my tomatoes, and go to sleep. And we wrote this song called Lie to Me, and it's really good. And anyway, but most of the time we talk, yes. I'm a very open, emotional, nice human.
But obviously it can work both ways. And sometimes just getting down to business might be the way to go.
Yeah.
When you're writing a song, what is it you actually strive for? What are you looking for to make a song great? Like, what is in your head like, I want this to come out of this session? Is that too vague a question?
No, I don't ever think that, though. I'm waiting for the magic to happen. I really am. I know when it's not happening. Mm-hmm. I know I'm sitting around listening to somebody sing something and I'm going, when can I make them change? This is bad. But having the openness to allow for nothing to come from something to come from nothing is what I think has to be protected in the process of writing. I don't ever premeditate it. If I do, it's probably not going to be that magical.
Right.
In fact, I hate premeditating anything. Isn't it more fun when you can just bump into somebody on a street and get a drink with them as opposed to being like, so we meet at 5:30, I have it till 6:30, and then I'm going to leave because I have something else at 7.
Yeah.
Or not, because none of us are on our phones planning anything.
No, not at all. Okay, well, I love that. It's like just let the moment happen, whatever it may be. A question that I really don't like to ask, but I feel like we have to ask it in today's world, is the question of being a female in this business, particularly in the production side of things, where it's still rare to have a female producer, I think. I mean, we have a few of them on the roster, but it's definitely not the usual. Have you felt any sort of outside, maybe not rejection per se, but suspicion about, is she good enough? Will she be able to handle this? Any sort of people's insecurities being put onto you as far as being a female in a room?
Well, I'm pretty intimidating and I'm very feared. So
Indeed, by many.
I don't think I allow them to feel anything but fear. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I have. And that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, to be discredited for something that hasn't happened yet, to not get a shot because it's really just coming from some sexist prick who really, I'm going to be kind, who maybe just hasn't listened to good music in a while. And yeah, it's happened, and I try my best to just let it go in one ear, out the other. Everyone isn't gonna like you. I think that's what makes me special, what makes you special, what makes everybody here special is we're all unique, and we all have really great qualities, and we probably have shitty ones too. And I'd rather be hated for my shittiness as opposed to being a woman.
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous. I said it I was with Christina Perry the last couple days, and we were working at Alicia Keys' studio, Jungle City, run by Ann Minicelli as well, female engineer extraordinaire. And it's a dope studio. And I was talking to one of the guys who engineers there named Brendan, and he's really talented, and I love him as well. And we just started talking about the female thing, and I was like, it's ridiculous. And he's like, yeah, totally. I was like, how does it feel to be a male engineer? And he was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, it's a stupid question, isn't it? And he was like, mm-hmm. I was like, right, exactly. Because are you calling me a female producer, or am I just making the beats? Period, the end. Is it good or is it not good? It's not because I'm a woman.
Exactly.
It's probably better because I'm a woman, but that's a whole other conversation. I don't want to do that to anyone.
Agreed.
Sorry.
But there's a lot of movement now, female song camps, that sort of thing. You've participated in any of that, and
Yeah.
How's that?
I think it's sometimes great, sometimes not so great. I think it's definitely I had such a great time with Amy Wadge and Christina Perry the last 2 days, and it was just the three of us, and that's pretty awesome to have three chicks making music together. Yeah. It's rare, but at the end of the day, like I was saying, you just want to be around people who make you feel safe and bring out the best.
Right, talented people.
Yeah, and that's not denominated by your sex.
No, not
or
at
gender. Or gender.
Or any of it.
Yeah.
So I want to segue to your first really big success, actually, which is the song Rise Up that you wrote with Andra Day.
Yes.
And I want to talk a little bit about how that song came to be and the process. You're meeting her initially. How did you come to meet her? And then what happened in the session and then thereafter?
Right. Well, I had recently signed my first publishing deal with BMG, and Andrew Gold had signed Andra. And he was like, you should work with this girl. I had no idea who she was. I was like, sure, who is it? They don't exist. Sign me up. I need to get a cut. Whatever. Cuts are things you get when an artist cuts your record or your song and it comes out and therefore you're successful. Cuts don't mean shit. You need to have things that are either credible, cultural, or financially viable. But whatever, or maybe not. I don't really know. It depends on who you are. So Andrew was like, you should work with Andra. And she had this cover of Muse online. And there's this black girl singing this song. And I was like, who the hell is this girl? Her voice is crazy. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do a session. And she came over, and we had written, I think we wrote two other songs. And then the third one we did at the end of the day was Rise Up. And it was really quick, literally happened in like 10 minutes. And then she left. And this was at the time I had the studio at the house. And I was like, see ya. And she was like, see ya. And then I was up in Ojai, and I started listening to the song, and I went, Ojai's north of Los Angeles, better air quality for the weekend. I tell jokes to myself all the time. You guys don't need to laugh. It's fine. I just laugh with Sue up here.
Your inner self's laughing.
Yeah.
That's good.
Anyway, I played the demo from the day. And I was like, wow, this is really good. I'm going to email Jeffrey, her manager, and I'm going to email Andra. And I sent the message. I was like, hey, guys, just going through some old songs. Like, I think this one's really good. And Jeffrey writes back, maybe, yeah, totally. Let's finish it. No word from Andra. And then a month later, nothing's happening. And I'm like, all right, whatever. At the time, Fenster was working at Warner Brothers. I was like, hey, Jeff, the A&R. I said, I think I have a really good song with Andra. And, Jeff and how he takes a meeting and he's, listening, typing an email, getting a call from his assistant, totally not paying attention to you. At which point, I obviously don't care because I'm made of metal. He stops typing on his computer. He goes, hold on, start it again. And then he takes his glasses off of his head, he leans back in his chair, and he listens to it. And he goes, that's a really big song. And he picks up the phone and he calls Dan McCarroll, who's the head at the time of Warner Brothers, and he said, we have the single.
Wow.
I was like, I thought this was good, but is it this good? What am I missing? And then Andra came back to my home studio and we finished the lyrics. And then I sent the stems to Adrian, who I co-produced the song with, and that was it.
And then it was nominated for a Grammy.
Two
Grammys.
And I didn't go.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. This is such a big deal in a
Self-hate,
songwriter's
Sue.
life. What are you doing staying home?
I was like, I'm going to get nominated next year. Nope. Don't worry, it's coming at some point. But yeah, so And then we went to the party. I went to a bunch of the parties, of course. I didn't go to the award show because I was like, I'm not going to fucking win anyway. But and I saw Andra, and she comes up to me in her big dress after performing it with Ellie.
Yeah.
And she's like, girl, I haven't singing this song so much. I want to stop singing this song. I'm like, you're about to sing this shit forever.
Yeah, you don't even
Good
know.
idea. But yeah, that was the first break I would say I had, and that was 3 years ago.
That's just, yeah, it's major. I think that for a songwriter to get nominated for a Grammy is quite something spectacular, and it doesn't happen very often. So you've already achieved that. That's amazing. Now you're going to win one soon, I think, from what I've heard.
Oh, thanks, Sue.
But before we project on all your trophies, there are a couple of amazing artists that you've worked with, very, very diverse, from Anne Marie to Beth Ditto to Bat for Lashes. And I want to ask you a little bit about working, changing your head each day. You go into a session, or some of these you did the entire records. I know with Beth you did. And so how do you serve the artist in these very diverse with these very diverse people?
I don't have a clue.
Do they just kind of guide you along and say, this is who I am, and you need to...
Honestly, every artist that I have made either albums with or have had more than just a day with, they trust me. Right? And I trust them, and there's this openness to try whatever you want within reason, obviously, creatively. And with Beth, Ditto from The Gossip, I don't know if you guys know the band, but it's sick. We had met, and she said, well, this is honestly, I feel like we just became friends within like 5 hours, and she was like, oh, I like you, I want to hang out with you. And I was totally not prepared to make the album because I had never made a full length before. And this is quick little funny story. But we were this might be an audio nerd joke, but maybe not. Maybe it's just a joke again for me to laugh internally about. But she was in the booth, and I was tracking her. And as we were singing one of the songs, which didn't make the album, which is really great, but whatever. She was in the booth singing, and there's this plugin made by Waves called Sound Shifter. And basically, if I put it on your voice right now and I drop you 12, it'll go down here, and that's how you talk. You're wrapping it up 12, and I do it like this. And she's cutting the song. I don't know the girl. For some reason, I'm like, I'm gonna fuck with her. And she's singing it, and she's like, I'm gonna tell you one. Whoa, Jen, what are you doing? And all of a sudden, I was like, I got her. We're cool. We're friends. And then a day later, she was like, Jen, do you want to make my record? And I was like, yeah, but how do I do that? She's like, don't worry, you'll be great. We'll figure it out, but we're going to write it first. And I was like, okay. And then we wrote the album, the whole thing, the whole record, with the exception of 2 songs. And that was my first full length.
Amazing.
And she taught me so much. It was such a great person to have as the first time full-length record to make, because she was allowing me to fail and make
she trusted you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I think the point you make about working with somebody more than just one day is huge. I think the better songs are always written when you know somebody in general.
It's shocking that people don't spend more than 5 hours.
A couple of days at least with somebody. But you told me something that she taught you even more specifically about the 2 songs that were going on the record and the one that wasn't, that you really wanted. And what did she say to you?
It's not your record, Jen. You don't make the decisions. You make all the decisions until I tell you you don't make the decisions. Yeah. I was like, okay, I guess you're paying me. I guess fine.
You do a lot of work in the UK.
Yes, I do.
And what would you say are the difference between working in London and working in LA or the US in general?
I guess the kind of music that comes out of the UK is a little bit, at least, whoops. Well, it birthed the Beatles. Oasis, Coldplay, Amy Winehouse, Adele, Florence. These are all people I like.
It's good because that was going to be a question, so you're answering it.
Notice I named ones I like. I think I think what's so cool about all of those artists is that they sound like nothing else. And who knows if that came from the collaborators they had, but it exists alone as its own thing. And I find that in America, we chase a lot. We chase sounds a lot. I think that's what's really great about Billie Eilish is that I don't know what, I think everyone's chasing it now. I think Post Malone's another example of what everyone's chasing. I think Post is unique. I think Billie's unique.
Yeah.
But in England, for some reason, I think maybe it's because it's a smaller country, they have the ability to actually grow, as opposed to America, which is so big that it takes so much to be noticed.
Yeah.
I mean, big fish, small pond.
Mm-hmm.
And in America, it's a much bigger pond. You have to really
Musically, it's more enmeshed there, too. I mean, they're not so separated out with genres like we are here.
Yeah,
People
that's true.
like all sorts of things. You don't just listen to one segmented radio station.
Yeah.
Here is so tough.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Fit into a slot.
Yeah, it's tough.
What about the industry there? Is it a little more free than it is here, or are A&R people the same worldwide?
I don't know. Everybody's different. I think in the UK, they sniff out the bullshit quicker. So if they don't fuck with you, you don't get a call back. Whereas in America, we need to make sure if we, maybe we should call her because of who she's worked with and who she knows, and I don't want to do some bad political dance. I think the UK people are a little bit more, definitely posture more, but I think if somebody fucks with you quickly there. Whereas in the States, maybe it's just an LA thing. Maybe it's because I'm from New Jersey. If you don't want to talk to me, just tell me. I totally won't call you ever again. But if you're like, hey, let's hang out. Like I give this example all the time. You go to a bar, right? Imagine let's see, the legal age of drinking in this country is 21. So you're this girl and you go to the bar and you're having a drink with your friends, and all of a sudden this guy comes up to you and he goes, hey, can I have your number? And you're like, well, he's kind of cute. Like, why is he asking me for my number? And then you're like, no, fuck it, I don't want to give him my number. And then he's like, come on, give me your number. So you're like, okay, I'm going to give you my number. You give him your number and he doesn't call you. Why did he fucking ask for your number? He didn't need to ask for your number. He could have just smiled at you. He could have said, let me buy you a drink. But he asked for your number, and when he asked for your number, what does that make you think?
You're anticipating.
He's going to call you, right?
Of course.
So when everyone says, let's do a session, and they don't mean it, I'm like, you lie. Waste my time. I have limited evenings. Don't fuck with my Netflix. So I appreciate people who are like, I do fear you. I hate you. I'm like, I can deal with that. So, I don't know. Is that a bad answer?
Do you ever? Well, you kind of.
Okay.
Do you ever? Do you ever feel the need to balance the art versus the commerce? Like what it is the label might want from you when you're working on a project, and what it is the artist feels they want, or you think they want? Yeah, totally. I think I probably shouldn't work on it though if I'm getting told they don't like what I'm doing. Yeah. I learned that though later. Like I thought for a long time I just had to like make everybody happy. And there's definitely I think the most important thing is respecting the artist's interest and respecting what the artist wants, making them happy, making sure the music sounds sick, and then cutting it, pressing it, releasing it, putting it on the DSPs and watching Netflix after. To have the power to say no and to tell an A&R, I don't want to produce this. I don't want to write with this artist. I know you want me to. I know you think I'm going to be great at it, but I hate it. In a much more politically savvy Diplomatic way.
Diplomatic, that's the word.
Yeah.
Right. I don't say yes to things now that I know that aren't my taste. Because the last 2 days, for instance, working with the people I said I worked with, it's honest. It's who they are. There's no bullshit around it. I am not going to make beats like Swiss. Not going to do it. Ever. I mean, I could hang out with him and probably write some sick songs with him, play the keys, come up with some cool synth parts, but his drums are going to knock. And I have never spent time making my drums knock like that. But as a producer, if you need your drums to knock like that, you need to figure out how to get the drums to knock, at which point I'd probably call him and ask him to do it.
Exactly. I guess that's part of being a producer, right? Knowing the right people to help you out.
Yeah.
But the bones are the song.
100%, yeah.
So, you've been doing a fair amount of production, though, lately.
I have.
And I know that we're going to talk about a song in a minute, but what I wanted to first talk about was the song that you've produced, and you've brought your Logic session here so we can see exactly how the magic happens. And that's Anne-Marie's song Cry. But first you had a big hit with Ciao Dios.
Yes.
With Anne-Marie.
Yes, we did. It was big in the UK, top 10. It's still played there. I was there a couple weeks ago and it was on the radio and I was like, yes, Christmas money, Hanukkah money, Jewish guilt. I said gelt. Just kidding. Oh my God, I'm so lame. Okay. Yeah, so Anne-Marie and I wrote this song called Ciao Dios. We met in England. It was a blind session set up by Kira at BMG. And I went to the session and she was 2 hours late, which is actually early for her, knowing her now. And she shows up and I was eating. I love Pret. Pret is this thing they have in the UK. They have them in New York now.
They have them here, yeah.
Not in LA, though.
No.
No. Yeah, we're late to things.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Are you just like steaming mad that she's late, or you're just accepting it? I'm just sitting here. It's part of the gig.
If I were in LA, I'd probably be pissed, but I'm pretty sure I had nowhere to be, so I was like, whatever. Anyway, I was eating this tuna sandwich from Pret. Sorry for anyone who doesn't like tuna, 'cause occasionally. By the way, Mom, I ate the tuna you had in the fridge. So sorry. I know it was your lunch. I hear everything, so just be quiet. I heard that. Anyway, I'm eating this tuna sandwich, and she walks in, and she's like, "Hello." I'm not even gonna try. She's like, "Hello, I'm Anne-Marie." I was like, "Oh, I know. Duh. Nice to meet you." And she's like, "So what do you want to write about?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't fucking know you. Like, can we have a conversation, right?" And we start writing this song, and she's like, "Ugh, what is that smell?" And I was like, she goes, "Is someone eating tuna?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I have." She goes, "Throw it out. Who eats tuna?" I was like, "I really like you." Because who says that? You know?
would say that.
I would.
Yeah,
I would.
You would.
So rude. So wrong. And I was like, we're going to be friends. And then we wrote the whole, pretty much, Speak Your Mind together, which got nominated for Album of the Year at the Brits.
Amazing.
But anyway, so we wrote this song that didn't make the album. I guess the first sessions I have must really suck because those songs don't make the records, but I'm going to work on that 2020 resolution. Be better in the beginning, Jen. But the second song we wrote was called Perfect, which actually was a single that went to radio as well, but didn't do as well as Ciao Dios, but it was cool. But anyway, we got along, we hung out, and she was like, "I'm coming to LA, I want to work with you." I was like, "Okay, great, cool." And this was the first time like a pop artist on that level, first of all, that I liked.
Yeah.
But I met somebody famous and somebody who wanted to work with me. I'm like, I would consider her peers to be Halsey and Selena Gomez.
Absolutely.
And anyway, so she's like, "Okay, we have a session this day at this person's house, and can you pick me up? And then can we go shopping? And then can we?" And I was like, no, I'm going to pick you up and we're going to go to the session. But we went shopping, of course, because
How could you resist?
I hate shopping. I'm sorry, I really don't know how to do it. I just need, I have 5 minutes, I need to be caffeinated, I need to know what I'm getting, and then I'm out. I'm not your standard girl. Anyway, so I pick her up, we go shopping, and then at just a vintage store that smelled, and then we get to Santa Monica, and we're working with Tom Meredith, and he had this track that he had made with MDL, and it was the beat to Ciao Dios, and literally, I don't have it on my phone anymore because everything got erased, but the first thing out of my mouth was, tell you once, tell you twice now, na 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 na. I was like, she's like, oh, that's kind of cool. So we followed it, and then I wrote the pre-melody, and then I had this idea for a hook, and then she made it better, and then I was like, I think we should say ciao, and she's like, adios, ciao, adios, I'm done. And I'm like, yes, what? What the fuck is that? No. And then I'm driving home, and I remember telling my partner, I was like, I hate this song. And that's normally when you know it's good. When I go through you know what it's like, yeah. Where you're going through, this is sick. I should quit. Why do I exist? I'm gonna get another job for sure. And then when I listen back to the demo, it's like it walks that line. Like it's like kind of too poppy, but not. But it's just, and it's obviously great. It did well. Anyway, this is a long story shortening it up right now. I just invented the word. We were in traffic coming home after we wrote Ciao Dios, and if anyone's familiar with LA, you know there's traffic. And there's this road called San Vicente, which goes all the way to the Pacific Ocean, and then it continues on. Actually, don't know where it stops, but it's long, like a lot of the roads in California, because it's a big state, which could be its own country and probably will be soon, based on our political policies. Anyway, so we were driving back, and we were in traffic. Mom, please stop laughing. We were driving back, and she goes, so, you make beats, right? And I was like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, not pop beats. Never had produced a pop song in my life. This was 2017. Where are we? 20?
We're 19, almost 20.
I don't know. Check when it came out. I have no sense of time. I don't know what day of the week it is. Anyway, she's like, so you make beats? And I said, yeah, kind of. And she goes, well, put some on. And I was like, okay. And then in my head, I'm like, is this person asking me for tracks? Like, what? I normally sit at the piano and write a song with somebody, or the producer gives the beats, and I'll make on in a second. And I play this track, and she's like, oh, this is cool. I'm like, really? And in my brain, I was like, I'm going to give, just so you have an idea, I wanted to pitch the track to Wiz Khalifa. Totally not for Anne Marie. Right. And she starts singing this melody, and we're in traffic. And I started playing on 26th Street on San Vicente. And by the time we got to Wilshire, the song was written. Amazing. That's a mile. And LA traffic, 20 minutes. But it was done.
Incredible.
And then she's like, I want to record it. Where are we recording it? And I'm like, I have a studio. She's like, great, I'm coming over. I'm like, what? Okay. And then I remember she came over, and she came in the house, and she asked for some food.
Tuna.
Definitely not tuna. And we cut the vocal. And at, I think, 140 BPM, and she does this thing where she likes to speed up everything. So I think the tempo landed at 148. So there's phasing in the vocal. But we tried our best to handle that in mixing. And that was the genesis of that song. But the first pop song I ever produced.
And we're going to be able to see it in action here.
Yeah, I'm going to go through the session, which is totally, all the files have been bounced down, but I have every track, separated. So if anyone has questions, you can ask me, but I probably won't know the answer, so don't ask any questions. Just kidding. But yeah, that obviously taught me a lot about the importance of having a strong relationship with the artist and having their trust and their ear, and hearing, she ran through the whole album with me, and I wasn't the executive producer on it. I was just her friend who wrote songs with her, who maybe produced a couple.
And always had a beat in your back pocket.
I guess so. I guess I got to start making more beats, Sue. I'm out of beats right now.
Stock up.
I'm going to call Swiss Beats later.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah, you and Swiss.
Okay, the three finger.
So this is called Cry, Anne-Marie.
Right, so,
Am I in the way?
no, you're good. I don't know. Is Sue in the way? Does anyone want to know?
Always.
Okay, so this is a Logic session. Everything is in orange because maybe I was wanting to pretend to be in Halloween or something. So here's, if you guys see the titles of the tracks, I'm gonna expand. Kicks, drum loop. These are consolidated. So like I think there were 3 kicks, but for this exercise, I have consolidated the tracks. That's a live drum loop. I'm gonna go through this so you guys can see specifically what's playing. Intro drums, percussion, various percussions, different snare sounds, cymbals, hats. That's just the drums. And then those are the synths. I did a couple analog synths, analog meaning like hardware, keyboards that aren't soft synths. So like there's also Omnisphere in here, which at the time I was like totally on Omnisphere. Since then, I'm kind of an analog whore. But so those are the synths, and then those are Atmos effects. That's the basses, lead vocals, effects prints, which is reverb and delay, background vocals, and the Jenn special, which is me in the song. In fact, let's start with that so you guys can hear the atrocity that exists with how I'm pretty sure I inspired myself to make this beat off of these noises. It's kind of not kidding. Are we up volume-wise? Good, great, cool. Right, no. Not kidding. That's a real sound. Anyway, let's listen to the song from top to bottom, and then we can go through it if anyone has questions. Can it get louder or no? Thank you.
I've never been a quitter, but y'all have gonna put me to the ground. See, I always been a winner. Yeah, people don't. No, 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 no. In the middle of the night, I see you crying. Yeah, yeah. Now you're sleeping on your own, you realize it. Yeah, yeah. Don't you know you should let me down when I am right, begging for me to give you one last try while you crying. Yeah, yeah. Hush, baby, don't cry. No, 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 no. Hush, baby, don't. No, 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 no. Hush, baby, don't cry.
It's so cool to see it happening in like
Yeah.
technology.
I was so proud of this song when it happened. I was like, my drums are sick. But actually, this started my love for live and really understanding it because I combined with this. I believe it's this loop.
Yeah,
I can go through it. If anyone has any questions, I'll tackle those in a bit, but not yet. I'm going to obviously talk about my egomaniacal love for myself right now. So the drums is this is live. When I had my friend play it, and it was very not sounding like that. It's like a clean. I threw Decapitator on it, which is a sound toys plugin, and I made it sound gritty. I added some room reverb and just basically made it fat. And if this isn't in the track, like let's just say we go over all of the drums that exist. Oh, don't mute that, Jen. Stupid. Okay, that's how I talk to myself. Don't talk to yourself shitty. It's a bad habit. Okay, so here's the hook, right? The loudest part. I think this is the hook. Loudest part of the song. Here are all the drums. Be nice. Okay, so. Right? Hats and kicks, right? That's programmed, but so check it out. So if this is all happening. It adds, it adds like a significant backbeat that when it's not in the song, it sounds shittier. So you can hear that it sounds like, to me, it sounds empty, but when you put it back in, it sounds bigger. And then here I am. Stuff like, shit. I don't know why I felt the need to keep that in there. I was really inspired by Jamie XX at the time from In Color. And then I love you. This says I love you.
I love you.
Stupid. Funny. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. But anyway, so, and then here's a bunch of synths. That's a distracting synth for sure. But it's basically, it's not a complicated track. It's bass and atmosphere effects and just basically drums and bass. British. Here we go, Jen. Back to the UK. Why you love the UK. But I don't know. It was a fun track to make. And when I finished this record with her, I was like, I want to make more noises with real instruments. And because a lot of this is soft synths. And I think stuff like Junos and Prophets and Moog, or however you pronounce it, they provide a really strong jumping off point. I think the integrity of those sounds are richer. Mellotrons are amazing. Yeah. Obviously, that goes into gear as well, and having the right preamps and compressors makes your shit sound better. You have to know what you're doing with it, but...
How long did it take you to learn what to do?
I'm still learning. I don't know.
Probably
it's
never
forever.
ending,
Yeah.
And there's so many choices within each.
But you have to, like, I think that's what makes a producer good is your taste. And also, by the way, there are things that I hate that people love, but it's clearly not my taste. It doesn't mean that I'm correct. It's just like that's what I'm saying, like knowing when to say no to stuff. It's like, I'm actually gonna suck at this because I don't like this.
Yeah.
But I can kill this. Let me try this track or whatever. Like the Hines stuff, which we're gonna talk about.
This is a good segue because we're going to wrap up soon, but you've got an entire record that you produced coming out.
Yes, third full length. I've done 3 full lengths. This is the third one. It was done by, I'm gonna take this off. Mom and Pop and Lucky Number putting it out. The band is called Hines. It's a 4-piece, 2 guitars, a bass, drummer from Madrid. They speak Espanol. I know it a little bit, so obviously.
Did you record there?
We recorded in Madrid, in London, New York, and LA.
Amazing.
I went all around the world with them. Yeah. And I just found out today that the song's on the radio in the UK already.
Excellent.
Which is super cool.
Yeah, just released. Writing solo.
Writing solo, yeah. So this is, Hines just put out a record. What's cool about this, though, is every single sound is handmade. I didn't use any samples.
Oh my gosh, you're a publisher's dream.
Yeah, that's right. Those splits, well, I'm sure the songs are fine. But it sounds sick.
Amazing.
And the thing that I love about this record is it feels unique. You know, like those artists I talked about. Yeah. I don't think it sounds like anything else. I know what I was inspired by and what I was kind of pulling from, but the reason that I worked on this album was because I jumped into their world. Mm-hmm. And I think to answer the question that you had before about how do you like be you in different situations with artists that are so different.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole point, is like putting your lens on it and giving your perspective and guiding them to being better versions of themselves. And also writing the songs with them doesn't hurt.
Absolutely.
But now I'm into this sonic thing, and I'm very obsessed with it, and my ears are forever evolving and changing, which is a blessing and a curse because I have problems with so much now. And I already am a problem person, so working on that.
So Hines writing solos, something that we're gonna hopefully see soon. You can all listen to it.
I'm out of conversation. I'm on my private jet, like while everyone is sleeping. I still haven't closed my table room, still kind of empty. If you're not on the inside, I had a realization. You're my favorite space and time. I'm staring at the ceiling. I'm on my private
The end.
The end. So we want to thank you all for coming and thank YouTube for having us.
Thank you, YouTube. Thank you.
Yay. And up.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. If anyone has questions,
See her at the bar.
see me at the bar. That's my favorite place.